What's up, you guys? What's up, you guys? I'm just waiting for everybody to come to the stream. Waiting for people to come in. You know how it goes. How you guys? What's up? What's up? Hey, how are you guys doing? Yes, I was live this morning. I was live. Oh, no, it's fine. You can stay. It's fine. I was only online for like 40 minutes. Again. Yeah, I was saying yesterday that I won't be doing long form. That's a totally different thing. I won't be doing long live streams no time soon until I get a job, because I'm only on here to try to get help because I don't have a job and it's already been 4 months. My family is helping me with my rent, so I'm on here asking for gifts, and other than that, I'm not on here. Yeah. What's up, you guys? Hey, what's up, prophets? So today, we're not starting yet. We're about to start in a little bit, though. I'm just waiting. We already got like 300 people. Today we are actually gonna have a conversation, unlike the last couple of live streams. Hold on, I have to sneeze. It wouldn't come out. Oh, I'm about to drop it. Okay. Ooh, I was just about to say my hands are too full right now because I'm trying to only hold my phone in one hand with nothing else in it, and I'm holding everything else in my arms and in my hands. You can't see it though. My hands are full. Then I like shifted and started moving stuff around. And I realized, nope, full is an understatement. My hands, I need to put some of this shit down. Hold on. Today we're talking about self-regulation. Uh, we're talking about self-regulation, and we're talking about collective ethics. Because I want to have a conversation, because I don't know. I was thinking about it recently. I really want to dump that. It's not my business, but I want to dump it. It's not my business being political, because I don't have no place being political, because I am a radicalist at heart. Everything activates me. Everything activates me to stand against capitalism, to stand against the corporate standard and the belief system that people don't even believe in, but they still hold it up. And I feel like I need to get radical. So it's not my place to be political, because I'm gonna say some far left shit that's gonna piss a lot of people off. Y'all know I don't care about that. About pissing people off. I'll piss anybody off. I probably do anyways. So I don't try not to, but I also don't try to go out of my way to piss people off. So it's not my place to be political, but you know, I've been feeling really activated in this time, especially with Trump as president. Um, and I'm realizing that being quiet is not my place to. It's not my place to be quiet and just not say anything and be very passive and let all this stuff slide. Right? I'm realizing that that's not my place in all of this. So I also am do not feel I also do not feel like it's my place to. Sorry, I saw a cat. I feel like I had to. I'm gonna go show it in a second. Um, it's also not my place to be making announcements and giving information and dates. But you know what? I was realizing I was sharing speeches from the No Kings protest because they had that all across the nation. You guys know that, right? Right? You come on now. Y'all know that, right? Y'all talking shit about Trump, but y'all didn't know nothing about the No Kings protest. I was posting because everybody's talking about, oh my gosh, Trump is doing all this, and the people are protesting at best. Other people talking about, oh my God, Trump is doing this, and he's fucking up this, and he's messing up that. But nobody's talking about the positive things that were said at the No Kings protest. A lot of people spoke in a lot of different states. Come on now, people. If 5 people spoke at each protest in all 50 states, because it was in all 50 states, that's a lot of people. Come on now. Come on now, you guys. I want to encourage y'all to go look it up in your state. Go look it up. Go look up the public speakers that spoke in Washington, and at least go look up the public speakers that spoke in New York. Come on now. That's the least y'all can do. All this talking shit about Trump and what Trump is doing, I do not care about that. And if you're stupid in my life, I will kick you out of my life. I will kick you. I'm getting admins very, very soon. So all the bullshit that be happening in the chats, because I do see it. I do see it. Will not be it. But I was posting the public speakers that spoke in Dallas, and it rained in Dallas when it happened. I was posting that instead of contributing to the chaos, right? And I kept continuing to see content about people saying that it was a violent protest, even though it wasn't a violent protest. But they were saying it because they knew it wasn't a violent protest to get a reaction, right? It's all like rage bait content at this point on both sides. It's ridiculous. But it really brought to light for me that it's not my place to be quiet on this one. So I am feeling really activated. I don't know what we're gonna do, what's gonna happen yet, but I do know be looking forward to some content um every now and then in the next 3 weeks, because I do have to talk about it. But Black History Month is tomorrow. If yeah, it's tomorrow, if not the day after tomorrow. I don't know if there's gonna be a 31st. Um Black History Month is coming, so we do have to talk about that as well. The schedule is very, very full right now. I'm very booked and busy. I apologize. But I'm going to make time to talk about everything all at once. I can do it. I got that. Just be here, be in tune, and tap in, you guys. Don't take no information from me, because y'all know I hate that. Don't claim you're a prophet and you're not doing anything with the knowledge that you're getting here, or the connection that you're getting with the people. All right, none of us want that from you. We don't want that from you. So if you're in the chat making friends and connections and networking like you're supposed to be doing, because you are supposed to be doing that. Sorry if I sound sick. Like, honestly. And it's crazy because I was debating with somebody yesterday. I had to straight up tell him, because he was telling me, the conversation got started because he was telling me about how he's racially ambiguous, but in the context of being racist, right? And he only gets upset when people bring up race when it has nothing to do with anything. He's a white man. Um, he grew up around black people. in an all predominantly white school. He hung out with the black kids that played football, and he was friends with them, right? I had to straight up let him know, like towards the middle, the peak of the conversation, I am racist. I critique white people very rapidly, very unconcerned, very, I hold nothing back because white people deserve criticism. White people deserve criticism. Now, is this platform the place for that? No, but I have done that several times on platforms. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And I think that it was well deserved. So before you go looking for it, I think it was well deserved. Okay, oh Lord, God bless me in this conversation that you just use me as a vessel to bring peace and light and understanding, if not enlightenment, to everybody that is gonna hear hear a message from this platform at any time. God, just help me communicate to the best of my ability, past my willingness, and bring me more understanding and more enlightenment and more knowledge. Because I will forever seek after the truth after I continue to seek after you. And that's all I got to say about that. So, we're talking about collective ethics at the end of the day. So I want you to keep this in mind because this context is, I'm not going to say groundwork. I'm not saying groundwork because I always say that. Y'all know I always say that. I'm not saying groundwork, but it is the context of today's conversation. Because we need to have a conversation about self-regulation. I think that self-regulation is a struggle, and especially in today's times, it's more apparent more than ever because people do not want to self-regulate because they don't want to face themselves. It's apparent who's doing the inner work, right, in every community, not just this community, in every community, not just the spiritual community, not just the far left or the far right. Um, the people who don't stand for any political belief, right? It's everybody as a whole. It is trash. It's complete trash. And we need to talk and have conversations about self-regulation and people's ability to do it. So that's the groundwork for today because I think personally, I have mastered self-regulation. I'm always learning stuff through my ability to self-regulate. Um, kind of in a sense of, I understand when I'm using that. You know what I mean? Some of y'all can, because it takes a lot of reflection. It takes a long time to be able to reflect in your center. And, a lot of people don't even understand their center, right? And that scares them. They don't want to deal with that because they don't understand, because of fear that they don't understand themselves, basically, right? But when you have centered, eventually down your path, you start understanding self-regulation a little bit at a time. And after a couple of years of self-regulation and evaluating self, right? Because, a lot of occult magic is know thyself, right? Know thyself before you know anything else, right? That's knowledge at the end of the day. But to understand other people in the sense of you don't have to, I'm always complaining about the fact that people get to be so selfish and unaware and dumb because they are, you know, privileged to be able to just duck responsibility because they don't want to be self-aware. At the end of the day, that's fine for a person to person, but at the end of the day, when the entire collective, it has gone to HE double hockey sticks, that's bad. That's not good. And we need to be more Prevalent, is that the word? We need to be more observant of it. I don't understand why people think that that is so safe. It's so annoying, first of all, because you don't think that, you know, those responsibilities and way past those responsibilities, those obligations are gonna have to fall on someone else. And then you contradict yourself. You don't believe in obligation, but you're bragging about your responsibilities. Of course you're taking care of your responsibilities. That's your livelihood. Are you stupid? But that's neither here nor there, because as a collective it's gone to shit because people don't know how to reflect on themselves. People don't want to face themselves. I was reading a book. It was like a month ago. I still haven't finished it. I'm towards the end of it. And towards the second half of it, it probably was in the second half. It was, he said something about, people will do anything to never have to face themselves. And part of our spiritual journey might have to be the fact that we have to accept that in a lot of people. A lot of us have had to go no contact with our parents because, they are just so closed-minded, and they tried to raise you to be so religious when being religious was never for you. Do you understand that that's just not for everybody, right? It's not for everybody. But at the same time, that does not mean that we have to accept that that is what it is, because it's not. At the end of the day, being religious is not for everybody. Being aware is an obligation. And people who talk about patriotism, and I'm going to get to that, just hold on 3 seconds. People who talk about patriotism, people who talk about handling the responsibility, people who falsely, prophesy about the future of America in the state of America when none of that really, really applies, right? Because at the end of the day, it's about representation, not about voice. Because someone can be louder does not mean that they are right. It's about representation, because those people would not be in a place of representing an entire state if it was not for the people that they're representing. That does not mean that we have to accept the fact that they do not want to be aware, that they can't, because they can't face themselves. So we need to have conversation with these people about what they think self-regulation is. What is self-regulation to these people? What is self-regulation to you? Does it feel like a test? Does it feel like the STAR test? I have to sit y'all with the STAR test. Does it feel like the STAR test? Does it feel like the SAT? Does it feel like responsibility? Does it feel like expectation? What does it feel like to you? Because these are the questions that you need to know and understand, and how they apply to you, Prophet. Because at the end of the day, it's not about, it will never be about whose voice can be the loudest. It will never be about that. It's about the people that need to be represented. That is patriotism. And the reason I brought that up is because they are claiming this "Make America Great Again" as this default, and at this time it's a dog whistle. It's a dog whistle that I'm gonna be a bad president, and All he's doing, that's all he is. At the end of the day, a bad president. There's nothing new about that. There's nothing new that he's gonna do. There's nothing that he's really, really gonna do to ruin America that America hasn't done to itself. Okay? So I want you to take that home with you, wrap it up, put it in your pocket for now, because there's no such thing as bad times if America is always in bad times. Because identity is in direct correlation to self-reflection. Because when you understand that, you can understand what you put out into the world, what you choose to receive, and how you make it work for what it is can very much be a reflection of who you are. So, Prophet, I want you to know that there is a time and a place where people are going to actively, it's going to be apparent. How about that? It's going to be obvious that people are, not able to face themselves. People don't want to face the mirror of who they are because of the struggle that they don't want to understand or know that it's not easy. They don't want to know that they are confused. They don't want to know that it is confusing. Does that make sense, Prophet? So we need to be a lot more aware. Now, if you're wondering what that has to do with collective ethics, we're going to get to it. What's up, you guys? What's up? So we're talking about self-regulation and collective ethics. If you guys want to be filled in, I will fill you in. Just send me emojis in the chat and I will recap everything. But we're not done talking about self-regulation, but it all ties into what we're going to talk about collective ethics. That really had me going. And you know what else I just thought? Off the top of my head just now, a couple of seconds ago, I was like, what makes people stay on live for hours and hours out of the day? If, like, what apps? I mean, like, okay, because there are apps. I know that there are apps that require, a certain hours of live stream a month for them to continue to be active, for you to get paid from the app, right? But it's like some of y'all are not getting paid to do that. Why are y'all on these apps for 3 hours at a time? All day. That's all day. Every day. 7 days a week. Like, that's crazy. What will possess you to give your time and energy out into the open like that? What is that? What is that nonsense? That's insane to me. Because somebody... No, but see, the thing is, I'm being serious. Dealing with, like... No, no, I'm being serious though. Like, what would possess you? What is that? Then nonsense. That is true nonsense to me. What's up, you guys? Hi, Mara. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat, Mara. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the silver sales. Thank you. So I was just, I don't know. It seems hectic at the moment, but you have to understand that it will come down. It will get better. Because the only thing that's really, really happening right now, the only thing that's really, really happening right now is you can tell who doesn't want to self-reflect and who doesn't. I mean, who does and who doesn't, right? And you know what? I'm going to kick you for that. I am going to kick you out of my chat for that. But before I do, just know that's okay. Because I did say one day I'm going to have my own agency. And I am going to have my own agency one day. And I can proudly say that I did it from doing long ass live streams every day. And I'll be proud of that. But you won't be in my chat with that. There, you got a response out of me, but now you're not in my chat. How you feel now? How do you feel about that? I cannot wait to get these admins, bro. Um, so yeah, I think a lot of people don't want to self-reflect. A lot of people don't know how. They're scared to. They don't understand. It's confusing. It's hard work. Another thing, and I want you to take this one home too, is that I know for 100% of a fact that this is a battle of it's really exposing people who don't know the difference between responsibility and obligation. That's why I want to encourage you guys this live stream to know the difference between a responsibility and an obligation. It's not about me teaching you the definition of that word or the other. You should know what a responsibility is because that's what they're saying. But you should know what a obligation is, babe. And all my prophets in here, I will start kicking y'all if y'all do not have no obligation for this live stream. I've said that already. I said that at the beginning of this chat. You guys know the difference. So now is the time to start acting like it's not a job, but it's our obligation to. It's not a job, but it's our obligation to. Does that make sense? I'm getting real spiritual right now with y'all. Because there are bigger things. And I was preaching about this yesterday to a big ass group of people. Unashamed too, right? That today's times are very hectic, but it will not last forever. And I told every single person that. I announced it before I started the conversation. But, I did also say that the thing about it is, and you know what? I'm just now realizing this on a side tangent. It's crazy because I was saying, I have been feeling very, very activated. I don't feel like I understand the obligation of that because I already know and understand the responsibility of it. Being loud, being, to go against the wave actively, to be very, um, it just takes going against the wave, right? But why do I feel activated? Why do I feel so activated to get loud, to, want to raise my voice, to want to protest? Because I should. And I said this, I can't say it was like a year ago. I don't remember how long ago it was. But I'm not saying all the stuff that I'm going to say when talking about activism because I'm trying to scare you. I'm saying it because I was scared too. That's why I'm saying it. Make it make sense at the end of the day. But moving forward about this self-regulation stuff, so we need to be reflecting profits on ourselves, on others. Where's our obligation to each other in the chat? right now. You could be doing something while you're listening to this. It's not hard. You guys, if y'all are not active, get out of my chat. My chat is not for you. You can go to one of those spiritual gurus and get all that and then some. But you're not going to be in my chat sitting still. This is not a comfort zone. You owe us some comfort, because if we're not making you uncomfortable, but it takes the self-reflection. It takes to know your identity. They don't want to face themselves. Remember that and remind them. Go out there and remind them. You don't want to face yourself before you ever think that you can come and try to face me. That's not really the real world. That's how the world works in your head, not on the outside. Your false illusions are proof that you're delusional. Huh? Your false illusions are proof that you're delusional. You can't hide in a bubble for long. Bubbles are only destined to pop. What are we talking about? Be for real. But anyways, that has to do with self-regulation, because I think that in a time where there's a very much lack of self-regulation, that is plenty of space and opportunity for the prophets, hint hint, to get active. Don't y'all want to get active? As much as I be charging y'all up and trying to get y'all ready for something, don't y'all want to be active? So listen, it's not about...
What's up, you guys? So today we're talking about perception. Yeah, and I'm super excited. So I'm gonna get into why in a second. I'm glad you asked. Yo, I'm gonna get into why we're talking about perception. Sorry, the wind's blowing, and I can't control that. Um, we're gonna get into why we're talking about perception in like 2 seconds. I'm just waiting for people to come in. While we're waiting, did you guys know that I started writing again? Did y'all know that? No, no, no. I see a bunch of no's. Yeah, I started publishing, and I think I'm going to take everything that I've been writing and put them on a blog. I think I'm going to start a blog because I was publishing my writings on behind a paywall, but I think I'm going to make a blog instead. I don't know, it just feels more fun. So, be looking forward to that. I have, oh, that's what I was doing. Um, I have so many projects started, not sent. Um, right here, yes. Uh, I started writing, let's see, satellite theory. Um, I think I'm on like chapter 7 so far. And I think I think majority of these books aren't gonna have more than 19 chapters because I feel like that is a good fit. I feel like it's a good fit for my writing style. Very like um, experimental writings, lecture notes, essays that I have that I've never done anything with, right? So I can finally like do something with that stuff. Um, I have some nonfiction too, which I think is what my blog is gonna be mostly, dedicated to. And then like the essays that I have written like on paper that I need to transcribe onto my laptop, I think I'm going to do behind the paywall, right? So like all the essays, I think most of my lectures I started recording them already. So I think I'm just gonna stick to that. I might do some of them like the good ones, or it um the good ones, and then the ones that I think the ones that get a good reaction out of people, right? I think I'm gonna use those to um and just put those end up putting those on my laptop. So yeah, that's the plan. And then basically I'm gonna have a lot of published work coming out. So I'm gonna be talking about that. That's the reason why I mentioned it. But anyways, I'm super excited about it. Yeah, yeah. No, like when I tell you it's a lot of writing, I'm not exaggerating. It is, you know, even just the essays, and I'm still writing. Is the crazy part about it. A bunch of nonfiction work. Um, the essays alone are. I have like 20 essays. They're all like 7, 8 pages long each. It's wild. I write kind of big, so hopefully they're not that long. Or maybe I just won't post all of it. Maybe I've been writing poetry. Maybe. Oh look, I got some emoji. Thank you for the stars. Um, yeah, maybe I've been writing poetry, and you guys didn't know it. I know that's ironic because I literally made a live stream a couple of days ago, or it's been about like 2 weeks actually, um, where I was talking about that collection that leaked. Did you guys see that? Were you guys here when I was streaming that? I think I talked about it for like 7 minutes. It was like towards the end, so I mean not towards the end, towards the middle. So I think that was like the peak of when there was a bunch of people here. Did you guys see that? Interesting. Yeah, maybe I'm writing some poetry. I don't know. We'll never know. But yeah, the essays, the lecture notes, the nonfiction projects that I'm working on, they're all published on an app that I'm writing on. Some of them, I think, like it's probably like half and half, honestly. Some of them you can read for free, but I wanted to encourage everybody to go on the app and read some stuff. It's very prosy. Oh, we were supposed to get started, weren't we? We could wait a couple more minutes. Let me see. Yeah, we could wait a couple more minutes. It's very like prose, pretty dialect, language, like poetry, but not poetry, right? Is that what I meant when I said poetry earlier? I don't know. You'll have to find out. You'll have to find out. Somebody said I watch your writing vlogs. They are amazing. You should add music though. That's the yeah. I'm not really a big fan of those videos though. Somebody said no way you have a lot of writing videos on your channel. Yeah, I do. On my channel, I make content about making online courses, about writing and publishing. I make content about. I have a series called Salute Your Shorts, where I do like short philosophical videos in like 2 minutes. Um, I have like a lot of different series going as of right now. But yeah, writing is one of those. Yeah. So let's get started with today's video. You guys ready? Let's get started with today's video. So for this live chat, we are um, talking about perception. We're kind of navigating away from all the social justice stuff for this live stream. So you don't have to worry about me, you know, possibly ranting about the government, how bad the government is, or how stupid people can be. Those are my two favorite things to talk about, right? On live. Yeah, it is. It sure is. No, but we're talking about perception today, and I got some amazing wisdom for you guys. And then tomorrow, we're gonna be talking about something a little bit more different from the social justice stuff as well. So be looking forward to that. And then I'm gonna be back on live at I want to say 6:30, 7-ish. So today we're talking about perception, and I'm kind of over the introduction stuff, to be honest. Telling you guys, what perception is and what intuition is and what vision is. But regardless, we're talking about perception in the context of alignment. So I wanted to start off with a story. Y'all know how. um, Thank you for the stars. I'm gonna start off with a story. So when I was 19, um, I had just turned 19. I think I was interning at a church, right? And interning at this church, I realized that I wanted to talk about something different from what was normally accepted into that church, or most churches. I came to find out, right? So I was talking to my godfather, who was a pastor. I was talking to my godfather, and I was just really curious as to, like, what did he think about, right? Because I've had a lot of mentors, right? And I've noticed one of my favorite things to do is to pick their brain. Um, Especially when it's about like subjects that I just 100 complete like have no idea what they're thinking, right? That's one of my favorite things. It's to just pick their brain. So I was wondering And I was like, oh, just let me ask you like some really random, not like questions that don't have any context, right? And he was like, sure, go ahead. And so like I could tell like he was like he knew kind of that I've been wanting to pick his brain for a really long time. But I was just wondering so deeply, like and at that point I was like, I might as well because I have a question that needs an answer. So, eventually I'm gonna have to ask him because I asked him everything. I went to him for everything. He was my number one mentor. And so I was like, I'm gonna end up asking him, so I might as well just, pick his brain while I'm doing it. So I was like, so what do you think when you are like teaching in like the context of like the message, right? Like, do you do it like one sermon at a time? Do you think about it, a week ahead of time? Do you plan for it? Is it like on the spot? How's it work, right? Because I was um one of the few kids. Well, I don't want to say one of the few kids because there was obviously not that many pastor kids. But after, he became my, sort of, when he became my godfather, um, he was, he had just got asked right after that to become a pastor for fifth and sixth grade, I think was first. I think that's a lie. I think there was a time he taught youth like sixth grade and up for like a little bit, but then he started teaching fifth and sixth grade together. So um, him being my godfather, I always felt like a pastor's kid, but not in like the negative context, which I find so confusing because there's so much negative context in Christianity. Not that I care, but that like there's so much more negative context than there is good context, right? But um, I was just picking his brain, and I was just really wondering, like how does he plan for a message, not the sermon, like one sermon to be exact? Because if you aren't familiar with Christian churches, they normally teach in series. So like once a week, um, they teach the same core message in four or five different sermons, right? So thank you for the magic. Thank you. So they teach like one core message. I wasn't necessarily, you know, um, concerned about the sermon because I think ever since I realized I was passionate about church and Christianity, I wanted to preach like even just a little bit. So I started like teaching myself. And what I started teaching myself on was being able to preach on the spot. And I had been basically training that to like um basically like just teaching myself to like have points off the top of my head, and then I eventually grew to having the points written down and not having anything else, to adding a little bit more at a time, right? And that was basically how I preached. It was basically like off the top of the head, but making it sound cohesive, or not like it was off the top of my head. So I wasn't really concerned about the preaching part, but it was kind of like the message, right? Because I always felt caught up wanting to preach the same thing, and that's not wrong, especially when I could have easily taken the avenue of preaching the gospel and just only talking about the gospel. But I just want to know, like what concepts did he believe in that you know I didn't know about, right? Or like what ideas or theology was he really, really into that never heard him talk about, right? That's what I want to know. So I just picked his brain for a little bit when I was at his house one day, and I remember Adam was because it was like the living room and the kitchen were connected, and you can like basically see into the kitchen. And then like there was like a little corner. It felt like, but it wasn't exactly a corner for the dining room where the table was, and we were sitting at the table, and Adam was playing the Nintendo 64, and I was like, "Why does Adam have a Nintendo 64?" And he was like, "Oh, it was mine," and we brought it to the house when they moved in together, um, because he wanted to keep it or something. And I was like, "That was so random, like." That was so random for you to have a Nintendo 64 with all the games. Like, what? And that kind of like broke the conversation that we were having. But yeah, I just got to pick his brain. I think that was the one time about like what he believed in and like what theology he followed and he was into. So that led me to really, I mean, like it didn't really necessarily give me an answer for, you know, teaching about the things that I wanted to teach about, which was kind of hard for me, especially in a time when I felt like I was, um, what's the word? Building my reputation, right? I was building my reputation up, and it was kind of hard for me to present myself as if, I was ready, especially because that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be asked to become a pastor because they saw it in me, not because I was creating, that vision of myself, right? But little did I know it would get a lot less harder. I mean, it would get a lot more harder. I'm sorry. It would get a lot more harder than that. But I think that story, along with another story of when I used to be a Christian, are important because I think that when you are on a path, right? When you're on a path and you don't necessarily know exactly how that 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 thing is going to work out, right? You have this urge to do whatever you can to try to control the outcome, right? So I wanted to ask you guys first: do you guys believe in controlling the outcome, whether it be like how you present yourself, right? How you present yourself to the world, how you show up for yourself, or even in things of like the universe, right? And what the universe has planned for you, right? Right? Okay, we got some good answers. Some good answers. People say yes, you can't control it. I think that there should be a balance of both you putting in effort in what the universe has control over. That's good. That's a good one. Someone said yes, control over everything. And okay. Someone said yes with the exclamation point. I love it. So I love those answers, you guys. So I think um, I had to go on this hiatus. Well, it wasn't really a hiatus. I took a break, right? I think I had to go on this break um, and take a break from live streaming and creating content and all that because I realized something. I was in a state of settling for something that I desired, that I knew was a part of my blood, that I had to reevaluate and really look at how I understood it, how it really is, and the reality of it. And it was kind of like a part of me. If you guys know my life story, a part of me wants to accept the fact that I don't have control over my life. I don't expect my life to come out any any path like how my expectations were, when I was a young adult, right? Um, Especially now that I'm, 30, I have to, accept the things that I'm qualified for. And I can't accept the things that I'm qualified for if I'm still lingering on the past, the should, coulda, wouldas, what my life could have been, right? But doing what I'm qualified for. But I realized something, and this really, really hit me hard, that I know for a fact that I don't want to see any of you guys settling for this, because I realized I almost settled for it until I caught it right on time. And I don't think that we should be this victim to the universe when initially we thought that the universe was something we created, something we made. And at the end of the day, yes, I believe that the universe is a concept, an idea that someone put into words for other people to understand. But going with the flow is 1000% different from being a pawn to the universe. So I had to stop and really evaluate what I believed in, what was true, what was the truth of it. And I come to realize that in doing this, my entire life has been a spiritual journey at the max, right? Minus the hippie involvement, right? Um, yes, I walk around in nature without shoes, in a shirt, um, a lot, a lot more than the average person. But all the hippie stuff is probably as far as my spiritual journey has gone. But that really means something to me in a sense of I never thought that it worked out for me. I never thought that it worked for my expectations either. For 6 years of me running from spirituality, from me running from God, from me running from, the forces of the universe, right? But I realized that now that it's gotten bigger and more popular, and this is why I want to talk about this, because it's important when it comes to perception, because it really is this key thing that we cannot miss the small details, and this will bring that to your awareness, that the perception of that your perception of the truth is supposed to be paying attention to the key details. That we are not pawns of the universe. We are the creators of the universe, whether it be our ancestors, the past people before us, whether you believe in star seeds, whether you believe in indigos, whether you believe in astrology, numerology. We are the creators of the universe because we are the creators of that understanding as well. I didn't necessarily think about the understanding of it, but I really deeply believe that we have, especially with spirituality blowing up in popularity recently, that a lot of people are very keen to this idea that the universe is in control, and we need to be more lenient and more, uh, embrace more of what the universe has in plan for us. No, no, that's God. That's God that you're talking about. The universe is a balance of nature, and nature can be cruel and ugly just as much as it can be beautiful and aware, right? But those things on both sides only go so far without us. Those things don't go as far as we think they do because we are suffering from limited beliefs because of what we're capable of the universe stunning us, or cutting us short, right, or clipping us when we thought that we had it, right. But it made sense to me in a sense of, I think once upon a time this was popular before because we were the universe. It was popular before that because we were the creators of the universe. And I think that we need to get back to that, because why do we need to believe in the universe like it's a source, a power, a thing that's alive, like the religions already believe in their God? Why? Why? And truth be What's up, you guys? It's Jordan Exalt here again for another video. And today we're talking about something different because I'm back on my grind. I did have to take a small break. Um, but we're gonna get into why I had to take that break and how it went and everything that I experienced during that small break that I took. And yeah, celebrating Black History Month, celebrating myself, um, learning to live in my happiness and to learn to take up space again, right? So, this video is about why I became a spiritualist, because I don't think a lot of people know why I became a spiritualist. And this video is gonna be sort of like a verbal stream of consciousness, right? So I'm just going to flow and let the verbal energy flow through me and out, and I'm just gonna receive, right? Um, because it is kind of a long story, and I'm really grateful for that, because at the end of the day, I think that um, you know, as I'm becoming more aware of how branding, a personal brand works, how working for myself actually is like what it's like. As I'm learning how other people are maneuvering in the industry, um, with a personal brand, with an LLC, with, as an influencer, as a content creator, even. And just working for yourself and being an entrepreneur, I'm learning a lot about how it works. So, and I'm learning a lot about myself too, but I'm realizing that, a lot of people don't have that story. And I feel like it's a great, you know, um, narrative that I was blessed with to help me understand that I was always promised, you know, that I was always promised a future, right? Because I always have like these long, super, narrative. Sometimes they're like really like um, about the small details about my life and why I'm, choosing a path or a journey. So I wanted to talk to you guys about why um, I became a spiritualist, because I think that it's important that, you guys know and understand the reason why I'm on this path, why I chose this path, how I feel like this path chose me, and just to, help people get a better understanding of who I am, right? So, um, I think to start it off, I think the best way to put it is, um, recently I started live streaming every day, and that was the beginning of me launching my brand. I had just became a life coach, I think like 3 or 4 months before that, I've been spiritual coaching for a year at that point. At that point, um, almost 2 years now. And just really pulling my life together. And you guys, like when I say I cannot express this feeling, um, of me, getting to follow my dream, get to do what I want, and it be a spiritual, not only a goal, but like an outlet as well, was life changing for me because I have been, literally fighting against the wave, and I have grown strong from, learning to be self reliant. Learned a lot from it. I've learned a lot from it as well. And I've gotten a lot of life experience from that. But at the same time, I'm not going to lie, I was exhausted. I was so damn tired. And it's crazy to me that, you know, um, I don't know how you can watch a vision die in your hands or right in front of you that you thought was really gonna happen, right? And your lesson in that moment is to realize that, you have to be self reliant and you have to, you know, put in the energy, you have to put in the work for that. And it's not gonna always work, right? And at the end of the day, no one is going to be able to help you no matter how hard you're working, no matter how much energy you're putting into it, no matter how much time you're putting into it, or money, right? That, you know, that self-reliance, you have to put in 1,000%, right? Not just 100%, 1,000%. And even when it's not enough, you still have to keep going, right? So that has always been a part of my journey. But that ended up when I was fed up, I was exhausted and tired, and I had had enough. I ended up running from my spirituality at that point when that happened to me. I never thought that I would be doing what I'm doing now. I never thought that I would have a brand. I never thought I would have an LLC. I never thought I would have a business, owning a business, right? And you know, I was able to use that self-reliance, that knowledge that I learned, that wisdom, because you know, I was doing the same thing over and over again, right? Trying to figure out what do I need to change in myself to change the external world, right? To change that reality of me always having to, um, you know, give away myself, even in times when, you know, the seed was not gonna grow, right? So I think I was um, hesitant to even come back. I had nights where I was exhausted and broke spiritually and mentally, and didn't know what to do. I had times when I didn't know what I was gonna do next, where I was gonna go. I had moments where I was stuck in the mud with nowhere else to go except for to, face it, right? After running. And, I eventually just had enough, so I prayed through the night. And I just prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed, and I cried and I broke down, and just let it out. And I think that was a part of my lesson, was that you're not expressing yourself, you're not being open, you're not being transparent, you're not sharing. It's not just about giving your gifts to the world, it's about sharing, the the love and the care and the thought and not just the opportunity, right? But I realized, it was what I wanted to do. So I came back to it, and oddly enough, a couple months later, I had to quit my job. That was, terrible. It was racist. They were racist. They picked on me. They hated me. They came up with every reason to blame everything on me, and it was always my fault, and I was never doing enough, right? Kind of like that part of my journey that I was talking about earlier, right? Just repackaged, I guess. So, um, they forced my hand, and I had to quit. I had to quit for my self respect in the middle of me graduating and becoming a spiritual coach, right? I had just become a spiritual coach. I had 3 months into it. I had just started my life coaching classes. I should have started. Well, I didn't start it. I started them both at the same time, but I was only like 3 months into my life coaching course, and I quit my job. I had just became a life coach. I started trying to figure out ways to get another job. I didn't want to serve tables anymore. I couldn't stand serving tables, but I knew I had to do something. My, you know, um, mom was paying my rent, and then my grandma was paying my rent, and it was just a big struggle. And then I had this breakthrough with all this spiritual stuff, and it changed my life. And I am so excited to say that it's been 4 months. I am gonna get another job, and I have had a spiritual breakthrough when I did not have a job, scared because I was supposed to transition out of that job into my new career, working for myself, and it all happened so fast. But I had a breakthrough, and I make passive income as of right now through, selling my services. Not consulting, but I sell like spiritual books, consulting books. I sell witchcraft books, and they're all digital, like ebooks, right? So it was super simple and it was super simple and easy for me to just pull something together to just, make something happen, and it worked. And I'm making just enough to get by. It's the truth. I'll tell the truth. I'll be transparent. It's barely enough to get by, but at the same time, I'm happy with what I'm doing. And yeah, I still can't believe it. It's something that it's just so crazy to imagine that, I ran from the first time when, my vision didn't work, the very first time it happened. Um, and it just, the plans that I thought were going to happen for me, kind of fell apart. I ran from spirituality. I ran from being a leader. I ran from being a prophet. I ran from speaking publicly and being a leader. And I ran from that for 6 years. For 6 years, you guys, I did not pray. I didn't care about God. I hated God. I was mad at God. And the whole time I knew, God is a lot bigger than existence and what we believe and what we can understand, most importantly. He exists outside of all of that and more. And I knew that he could handle me being mad at him. So I wanted to share that message that, God can handle you being mad sometimes. God can handle you being upset about things not working out. God wants you to show that emotion. God wants you to genuinely express those emotions because that's how you feel. That's your truth. He's not going to take that from you. He's not going to take that from you. But that made me even more mad in the sense of, I wanted God to be mad back. I was that mad. And I'm not that type of person. I've never been that type of person to like do, petty little things to get someone else mad because I'm upset, or be the person that pokes at someone to get them mad, or even do it aimlessly, or like without reason. Like I'm very conscious, right? But I feel like the world took advantage of me because of that. I feel like the world took advantage of the fact that I was always aware and socially sensitive, and they took advantage of the fact that I was empathetic, right? So I wanted God to be mad. I wanted God to be mad at me for being mad. I wanted God to be mad at those people. I wanted God to be mad for me. And I ran from that. So for 6 years until I finally crashed out and could not take it, right, is where we're at. So I think I finally agreed with myself, it's what I want to do. It's what I want to do, so I'm going to do it. And it felt right. Little did I know I would have a breakthrough. I would quit that job I hated. I, because I was having days where I would literally wake up in the morning and have to be there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I would wake up in the morning, clean my house, and cry the entire time. I would, um, rest up until the point where I couldn't do anything. I would wake up in the morning, clean, um, run, go for a run. I would meditate, and then like until 4 o'clock, I couldn't do anything but sleep. I would wake up and cry while I was getting ready, sobbing, like just like sobbing, breaking down every day for months, just carrying on about my business while I'm breaking down. That's how bad it got. And I quit that job, continued to keep learning, continued to keep taking my classes, became a life coach, became a spiritual coach, had a breakthrough after I was not in that surrounding anymore. So I sort of feel like it was a lesson because God can teach you, the universe can teach you, that you are aware. And I want somebody to hear this. You are aware, but you can never be aware enough to where you don't have to learn a lesson. And trust me, trust and believe me, because I get on here and I spill the tea and I talk about the drama and I kiki and haha with y'all. But my life is always an inch away from falling apart. Always, at all times. But I have learned to accept that. And if you want to judge me by saying, oh, you put yourself in those predicaments or it's up to you to pull yourself out, that's judging me, not helping me. Because I have the awareness to understand that I have accepted the way that my life is, the environments that my life, you know, um, that my life is in, right? The situations, the experiences, the surroundings. I'm aware of all of that and have accepted it. You have not accepted it. You have not accepted someone is are have had their cards being forced. You haven't accepted the fact that that could be you. You haven't accepted the fact that that could be you and you can still survive. But you are not ever aware enough to not be learning a lesson. And the universe will teach you that. So I think, yeah, I had a breakthrough, and I was working and working and working while still taking my courses. And so I realized one day, um, trying to pull everything together, trying to pull everything together for my brand, that, it was not making sense. The fact that I felt like I had to squeeze everything in this time frame of, now that I don't have a job, before I get another job, I need to have my brand launched and have content ready and to have all this stuff coming out and to be prepared and to be moving forward already, when I haven't even became, like the person that I want to be at. I have one life coach certificate and I still need three more, right, to become a life coach. I think I realized that it doesn't make sense for me to be trying to do all this stuff while I'm still learning to coach. I mean, yeah, I know how to coach. Yeah, you don't have to be qualified to be a life coach. But it didn't make sense for me to just be rushing things. Or not that I was rushing things, it didn't make sense that I felt like it needed to be done in the in between when it was something I was going to do after. Yes, to, utilize my free time. That makes sense. But for me to feel the need for it to get it done, get it done, get it done, did not make sense. And so I had to stop and take a break. I had to literally force myself to take a break and, take a chill pill. That was just what it was. I was live streaming every day. It was fun. It was super fun live streaming every day. Just getting the content out there, getting my name out there, and just putting myself out there and letting people be aware of my brand, right? Um, I think I had the most fun live streaming rather than making content or um, managing my Instagram account, right? Especially not my Facebook account. All that was pretty terrible. It just was a bad experience for me. So maybe now that I have taken a break, I can, um, turn it around for me. Look at the bigger picture and see what I'm missing or see what I need to do, right? So I think, yeah, I was super excited in the beginning, but of course, it wore out. It wore me out eventually. Of course, it did. I mean, like it was going to eventually. So I had to learn, you know, while I was taking this break, that it was important for me to do that. It was important for me to do that, and I had to understand for myself why I was doing it in the first place. Because if I was gonna burn myself out, it was not gonna be before my brand even really, really launched. Okay, it was not gonna be the pre-launch era that I was done and baked. Okay, I was gonna try to do something right. I was gonna try, but yeah, and then Um, I don't know. It was just a lot. It was just a lot. But I was meditating and sitting with that though, and I realized something. And this is what the whole reason this I was decided to make this video was because I realized I should talk about why I'm making choosing this path because it was important for me to share that. I had never shared it yet. You see how I was missing the bigger picture on so much stuff? I was missing the picture on so much stuff. And I get it that, sometimes we are in a rush. We're moving too fast. We're thinking too hard about one specific thing, or like we're worried about the details. But at some point, you have to realize that you can't appreciate the beauty of the sky if you're always looking down at your feet. You can't. Because then you're worried about the details in the wrong place. Because there's a lot of detail on the concrete, in the sidewalk, in the grass, but then you miss out on all the picture of the beautiful sky that's right above you. And it's so beautiful right now. I wish you guys could see it. So I think, you know, that we should stop and really look at the bigger picture to make sure we're even going in the right direction. Because when you do start to feel burnout, because you will, you can't just blame it on the fact that, oh, I was doing I was doing a lot, but were you going in the right direction doing a lot? Were you doing the right, attention to the details, going in the right direction while you're doing a lot? So I have always wanted to be a leader in a sense of creating leaders. I've always wanted to be that. That is something I've always been passionate about. Getting people to not only speak their voice, but to raise their voice about what they care about, when they care about it, and how they care about it. Because that is important for every single person on this earth. And to teach people the value in themselves, the value that they can find in other people, to teach people to appreciate their worth, to appreciate what you have when you have it, and working with what you have, making shit shake with anything that you get, right? That's all I'm about. And that's why I'm on this journey, because I can't stop thinking about teaching people that. I can't stop thinking about it. I'm 30 years old, and since as long as I can remember, it is always who I thought I would be. A teacher, a leader, a prophet, a voice for somebody who feels voiceless. And that's why I'm on this path. And I think I'm pretty good at it too, especially since I've been learning to preach since I was 18. I mean, since I was like 17, learned to be a leader at the same age, always learning, always teaching, always mentoring for a long time, for 15 years. For 15 years doing all those things. And at this point, I think if I'm still gonna try to cling to that dream or run to that dream, I should just admit that it's what I want and do it because that's what I want, not because of anything else. I know a lot about coaching, from cognitive behavior to therapy to counseling to peer to peer counseling to leadership to mentor, all the way down. But I was never qualified in anything until now. So it's just kind of crazy how the stars aligned for me just later on in life, and I wasn't ready for that. But all that to say, I would be super excited to mentor you or teach you if you are interested or want to learn, um, self discovery, awakening, alignment, nourishment, self care, mental health issues that you have, that you want to, conquer or beat, or set a goal and accomplish your goal. Um, I do all that. And you can find more information on my website. The link will be down below in the description. I teach, mentor, and coach, or coach. I do all of it. And I do it for a very low price. Make sure it's affordable for anybody and everybody to do it while focusing on what you need, what you want, and how to accomplish your goal that you bring to me with team building, with sharing the pain, with empathy, with understanding, with the energy, with the work behind it, right? So if you guys are interested, you can check out my website. I also have free information on my website, tools, resources, and options for people who are looking for something that might help them with their mental illness, with their whatever they're going through, health, finances, goal setting. Um, that might help you on my website as well. So I want to encourage you to go check it out. Also, if you want resources or tools to help you, um, I also have an online store, and I sell um, manifestation loops, soundscapes, spiritual soundscapes, frequencies, guided meditations, all that stuff. So you can also find that on my website. The link will be down below in the description. So make sure you guys check it out. Thank you ahead of time for the support and love. Thank you so much. I appreciate it more than anything. And I'm so grateful that you would allow me to be the person to teach you or mentor you or counsel you into the best version of you that you can be, because I believe that life is a movie, that you only get one, and that we should be living our best lives with every opportunity that we get, right? So yeah, man, the sky is so beautiful. I'm gonna take a picture of it. But it's so breathtaking, like, oh my gosh. It's like a panorama picture. Like you just spin and it keeps going and going and going. It's so pretty. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, and hit the like button, and leave a comment if you feel inclined to stay tuned for the next video, and let the algorithm know you like um, videos like this one, so the algorithm can share you more videos like it. Thank you guys so much. See you guys next time and stay blessed.